Welcome to Retrained Search, the podcast, where we lift the lid on what it's really like to work retained, discuss the stories we've gathered along the way, and give you all a peek behind the scenes of our amazing community and how they're getting ahead.
Hello.
Hi, good.
How are you?
How you doing? Yeah, I'm good. I think the last time we saw each other, I'd flown back from, saw you in Birmingham. I had some feedback actually on that. Sorry, I'm jumping in, but people have been watching our behind the scenes videos and saying that they think they're really good. So I know we did quite a bit of that at the Rec Expo.
Shout out to Sarah Chester-Nelson and her wonderful husband, Aaron. Do a great job.
He's good. Yeah, he's really good. Anyone listening to this and you need video work doing,
Aaron's the man.
Aaron Nelson, I think he's called on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very good. And we're really enjoying working with him. And I think you guys we should have him on the podcast. That's
okay.
a very good idea.
We'll make that happen.
So how did you find the Rec Expo and speaking on the stage?
Good. It's a long day, isn't it? I mean, it was longer for you. Mind you had a 2.5 hour flight. I had a 2.5 hour drive.
Yeah.
Same.
That's true.
I suppose. But I had some company with Sarah, but it was a good day, really good day. Great to see people, some familiar faces, some new faces. And it's just, I'm nowhere near as nervous as I used to be for these things now. Like, I still get nervous. Like, I think that's normal, isn't it? But I'm nowhere near as nervous.
No, we definitely weren't as nervous. I think we enjoyed it more. I think we were both in a good place on that day, and we enjoyed like engaging with the audience and talking to everyone afterwards. Good.
Absolutely.
So when we were there, we were doing, our whole purpose was to inspire people that felt that, they kind of were curious or wanted to do a bit of retained, and maybe things have held them back.
That's the mission, isn't it? It's not about us. It's just about helping people realize they can, and that it's possible. Like whether it's us that helps them do it, or they get there on their own, or it's someone else, like whatever. Just to know that you can do it.
Yeah, you can, and there's support for you, and there's the ability to be able to do it. But then in the meantime, we got this, didn't we? We had this posted in one of our groups.
Yeah.
For those of you that are listening to us and not watching the video, it says its subject is analysis, and it's by one of our members who is on the board of a group of businesses of about 160 odd recruiters globally under different brands. And it says, we've done some analysis this morning between retained and contingent. Based on our fill rates and average fees, and that would be a lot of data. It says you would need to work on 120 contingent jobs in a year to bill 150k. The next line, it says, based on the same data, you need to bill 6.5 retainers to bill 150k. He then adds a line at the bottom to say, and yet I still need to work every day to convince people. And he's is the first in his business who found that it wasn't as difficult as some people think, and is now at 500,000 himself or more in retained revenue now. But what we wanted to do today, because there's a lot of there's so much in that for me. The biggest thing in it for me is that's statistics you can't argue with. This is an established, long-standing, large recruitment group, right? This is data you can't argue with. Why on earth would you want to work on 120 contingent jobs to make the same money as you would make if you worked on 6.5? And the reason I find, and it's still very difficult to fully understand, is that a lot of people have these perceptions, or they've got these, there's these myths around it, and they
put their own barriers up, don't they?
Yeah, there's so many. like, well, it won't work in my market, or it won't work at the salary level that I work at, and there's so many others.
I'm not great at BD, or like,
Yeah. Or I'm new to the recruitment industry, right? There's loads of them. And so today we wanted to help unpack those things that stop us from working in a really sensible, proven, productive, efficient, and, as we know, George, much more enjoyable way.
Yeah, but not only did we want to do that, but we wanted to do it by sharing people's stories.
Yeah,
real life examples of people that have done it, are doing it, that you relate to.
So the first one was, lots of people say to us that it won't work in my market, or they've got this belief that their clients won't buy it because they're in a market where retain just isn't done, in inverted commas. One of our clients joined us, I don't know, 6 months or so ago from the concrete industry.
May or may not have been a guest on the podcast at some point.
May or may not have been. And concrete, mining, construction, fresh produce, whatever the industry is, there's so many industries where retain just isn't even a thing. Clients have got no idea what it is. Not even that, but they don't care what it is.
Normally, it's when those leadership teams are old school.
Yes.
Yeah. You know those, you know the type.
I know the type. And it's not that they don't know what retain is, but they really don't care either. And the perception from our perspective as recruiters, and lots of people have, is that will mean that they won't buy it. And TJ has basically proved, as we see with lots of other people in lots of these industries, that that's just not the case. He says, I took the time tonight, we got this a few days ago, as you can see from the date. I took the time tonight to capture the results we've been having on the retained search front this year over the success of your course. As you'll see below, I completed the course around mid-June. It's been roughly 3.5 months, though, no, not even 6 months. And as a reminder, we were almost exclusively contingent, apart from one retained search early in the year for an executive role, which is often the case. It's only ever been used for executive positions. Over the last few months, we've converted contingent searches into retained to get better results, signed one client onto a monthly retainer, have another new client signing up for monthly retainers, a briefing for 7 positions is scheduled next Tuesday, and have sold several new retainers to new clients. All told, I'm happy to share total amount of retainer fees sold in this time is $588,000 US. Also, the last 11 placements we've made, 9 were retained and only 2 were contingent, and the team has increasingly become believers that retained is the difference maker in getting the level of client engagement to ensure that we achieve a result. He then goes on to say, thanks for the support, training, encouragement. It's been a game changer. I don't know where we'd be without having made this strategy shift. All those other bits aside, we wanted to give you evidence that it doesn't matter what market you're operating in, and it shouldn't be a barrier to you being able or even investigating a move to retained. And also,
what stands out to me as well about TJ, he had no barriers because he was new into the industry.
He was
CHRO, didn't come having this kind of preconceived idea of retained, no yes to it, just came with a pair of eyes and some common sense. And has shown that it's possible.
Yeah. But we've also, you look at John Butler in mining, Gemma in construction, they're all industries that are not particularly evolved or sophisticated from a talent acquisition perspective at all. And they've done the same thing. So that was one of the first things that I wanted to share.
Yeah, this is one of the other ones we get often is, I've never done BD.
Yes. Yeah, and it is fairly unusual, but some people have been in a market that's been so buoyant, and this is the case with Sabrina. She's been in an industry that's been very, very buoyant and has only realised now that she's going to have to start doing business development. And lots of people would think that if that's the case, you've got to win your work on a contingent basis and prove yourself on a contingent basis first. And that's a huge misconception, isn't it? Loads of people think that you can't get retained unless you've proved yourself on a contingent basis. And it's absolute rubbish. Like, it's just not, it's not true. It's almost the reverse.
Yeah.
It's impossible to deliver the kind of service that you need to deliver without financial commitment from your
Well, it
client.
just brings a different challenge as well. I think often people say to me, yeah, I'm best taking it to a brand new customer or someone that I've worked with before. And I almost feel like they're as hard or as easy as each other in a sense of
Yeah.
any customer are going to say, well, we've never had to do this before. Like, why now? And a brand new customer are going to have no preconceived idea of how you work, but they don't know you or trust you yet. So it's almost like pick your poison, right? Like either way, you're going to have to overcome an objection.
Yeah. Yeah, but it all starts with the diagnostic, of course. If the contingent model is working for them, then you shouldn't suggest that they do something different. Fortunately, normally that isn't the case. So it makes perfect sense for you to suggest that they should do something different. So with this knowledge and with the skills that she's been learning with us, Sabrina has proven that it is not true. She had no BD experience before, had 6 client pitch meetings in the past week, all in person. 4 out of the 6 prospective clients, i.e. new, and 2 existing. I did 4 this week. One of them's led to be doing a full proposal pitch tomorrow. And then she talks about where she's got to. Thank you for all your help with improving my approach. Now I just need to go and close on this proposal tomorrow. So it just goes to show you, whether you have got existing clients, whether you're brand new to BD, whether you've only ever worked on repeat business before, it doesn't mean you have to prove yourself on a contingent basis first. Yeah. You can go straight to retained. And in fact, you should, especially if their previous experience with contingent has not been particularly good, which is 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, okay, another one for you, Lee. I'm never going to beat those big search firms, right? It's just not possible, is it, Lee?
No, and normally I'm not even going to bother trying because they're so far ahead of me. I'm just little old me, one-man band with my researcher, or my brother in Josh's case, in our little office in North Manchester. And there's no way that we can go up against a Heidrick or a Russell Reynolds and win.
Let me tell you, Lou, David did beat Goliath.
He did, and so did Josh. Not only was he fully contingent not long ago when he first joined the course, but he says a couple of weeks ago, I won a CFO search going up against 2 others. The subject of this message is first time beating a Shrek. So I just found out one of the others was Russell Reynolds, which means it's the first time I've beaten a Shrek firm. He's so excited about it. A year ago, I struggled to see how a tiny business like ours would beat one of the big guys. And yet here we are. Needless to say, this group's been invaluable to the journey. Big up Retrain Search.
Big up you, Josh.
Big up you, Josh. I'm absolutely delighted. And he has proven that you don't need to be Goliath.
And for those who don't know, by the way, the Shrek firms, it's an acronym for the biggest search firms in the world. So it's Spencer Stewart, Heidrick and Struggles, Russell Reynolds, Egon Zehnder, and Corn Ferry.
And Josh didn't even know that when he first joined us. So well done. And now he's beating them. I know, I bet they're well pissed off. So there's other misconceptions. A lot of people think, well, in my location, and that might be because they're in, I don't know, Rochdale in Manchester because it's just too small, in a market, or it's because they're in Zimbabwe and therefore, it's too out of mainstream, retained activity. So Os is based in Zimbabwe, but their head office is in Harare in sub-Saharan Africa. And he goes to show you that it doesn't matter where you're based. And some of our members have operations in all corners of the world. He says, hey guys, following 6 months of conversations, dozens of emails, handful of calls. It's very persistent. Professional persistence, Ossian. Good lad. We have just won a project with PE VC-backed mobility business from Europe for a senior general manager in South Africa, $35,000 fee. Very nice. There's another, and I think the Middle East is another misconception.
Dubai. Yeah, people don't retain in Dubai. Yeah.
No. Yeah, we get lots and lots of that. And Jonathan's doing a fantastic job of debunking that myth, and lots of others do too, do very, very well in the Middle East. In fact, we had a few to pick to share with you today. I hope you're well. Jonathan says, of course, it's been great. I've won a number of retainers, and overall it's had such a massive impact on my billings. Fingers crossed, I'm on track for 500,000 this year.
Nice.
And they don't retain in Dubai.
Well, and so many of the concerns overlap though, right? Because yeah, this is the Dubai, don't retain in Dubai one. But also, like, he's in oil and gas. That's another old school industry.
Engineering.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that we get quite a lot of is I'm new to the recruitment industry.
Yeah, back to
I'm joining from a product management background or an insurance broking background, or we've had all sorts, oil trading, and John joined us from FMCG, and he was C-suite actually within the FMCG industry, and then established a search firm.
He's running his search firm and running an FMCG firm, I think.
And then for a while he did both. Yeah, he did both. And he set up a search firm to solve the problem that he couldn't solve in his own business, and then ended up working and providing search services to the industry, and that's now taken over as his main focus.
But he's been doing a lot on LinkedIn, hasn't he? And he said, I've been finding that structured outreach through LinkedIn is really paying off, both in terms of boosting brand visibility and generating leads. One approach that's working particularly well is using Sales Navigator to build targeted lists, whether it's focusing on a specific decision maker like a CEO, or honing in on particular industries within my niche like dairy and FMCG. In fact, I've recently secured a retained assignment for a CCO, Chief Commercial Officer, entirely through this method. And when you add in tools like Dripify, that outreach can really take off.
He's been working really closely with Sarah, who, those of you that listen to us, or those of you that are interested in finding out more about how digital marketing works for retained, should reach out to Sarah Chester Nelson. She has her own little coaching community and is helping lots of our members to improve, refine, and scale their digital marketing.
As we were looking through some of the recent successes of our members, me and Lee were like, Jesus, Sarah's been busy. It's like marketing.
I know. Digital marketing's taking over the world. But that's another myth. A lot of people think that digital marketing doesn't work for retained. And I can tell you right now, because we just have to wade through a load of wins, that it bloody does.
It absolutely does, yeah. I just absolutely love this one. Can I just say what a great guy Ryan is?
Yeah, such a good guy.
Like, so sharing and so giving. Yeah. I mean, and this makes me laugh, because how many people do we speak to that say, yeah, I've won some retainers. What I do is I tell them it's X contingent, but it's cheaper if they retain me.
Yeah, it's awful. It makes it gives me anxiety. It gives me anxiety listening to someone say that. It's like, Jesus Christ, you don't need to make it cheaper. In fact, Ryan says, how I negotiated 40% using retrained search training.
It's worth noting he's in Japan, which are higher fees typically, but he did say this is comfortably his highest fee ever.
Yeah, I mean, he says the challenge was getting their buy-in at 40% because they were being used to 20 to 30% fees. They fell off their chair when they saw our proposal. And he's written, for those of you that are watching the video, you can see, for those of you that aren't, probably worth next time doing that too. He's written a post on how he negotiated the 40%. And he's reminded and outlined the principles that he's been learning through the program to do that. And he then goes on to say the fee, exactly what he did. He's quoted what he's done, how he's done it. And he says, I hope this helps someone out there make a breakthrough too. So I'm not going to read the whole thing out because I'm going to entice those of you that aren't watching.
Well, I want to read one paragraph because I've just read it. It goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. The fee is not driven by greed or ego. It's driven by what I know will enable me to deliver an absolutely superb result for you, as a client, your particular set of challenges.
Yeah, exactly.
And buy it into a raving fan in the market. Very nice.
Yeah, he's very good. He's very, very good. And he helps share his successes with the rest of the community. So those of you that are in our community, follow him, look him up, follow what he's doing.
Retained cheaper.
Never make retain cheaper.
At the very, very least, it should be the same price as the contingent offering.
Lastly, there's a proportion of all the people that we speak to and out there that are worried that working on a retained basis needs fancy tools, fancy technology, needs, frills and bells and whistles that they just don't have, particularly if they're operating either alone or as an independent recruiter, or they're in a big firm and that firm only has limited technology, or as an established business, you might think, we've got loads of tech, we're going to have to change everything. And this guy, Greg, is just such a perfect example of how that isn't true. You don't need fancy tools, you don't need fancy tech, you don't need to change any of your tech stack or anything at all, in fact, because Greg Lawrence has got to be by far the biggest technophobe that I think I've ever worked with.
He self-proclaimed technophobe.
Self-proclaimed.
That's not us saying that about him. Like, he admitted he that was one of his biggest fears when
about
journey is like, I'm not technical. You don't need
so we want to debunk that and encourage those of you that are worried about tools or tech. You just don't need to. Greg is sharing. I just wanted to share. I just won my first retained search. I pitched face-to-face. It went so smoothly. Thanks so much for your help. He hasn't had to change anything that he's doing technically. He hasn't had to learn any new tools or tech. And he's sailing along just fine.
Funnily enough, Greg didn't include a GIF or an emoji in his email.
No, he didn't. No, it's always really straightforward. So there's loads more, isn't there? There's loads more barriers that people put up, and we will, if there's particular barriers for you that you're worried about, whatever that might be, it might be about yourself, it might be about your own limiting beliefs or your own personality that is holding you back. If we can help you to remove those or overcome those, and sometimes we might not be able to, might just say, yeah, no, it's not right for you. Because sometimes some of them are restrictive. Like, if actually all you give a shit about is making money and you don't really care about the outcome for your client, then that's a barrier that you're probably not going to be able to overcome, because retained work doesn't fit with that mentality. So, but most of them, they're in your way and they're not serving you. And if you want to work in a way that means you work on 6.5 positions a year instead of 120, then we'd really like to help remove them, even if we just have a chat with you and then you decide you want to carry on working on 120 positions a year, that's fine. Yeah.
And I love a challenge.
Yeah, don't we all? So that's what we want to leave you with today. Next week, I think, back to the normal format. We've got loads of really good guests lined up for you over the coming weeks.
Another one now to come in, Aaron. He doesn't know yet. But
he did a session internally for our community, didn't he? And people have been raving about it ever since.
Yeah, it was really, really good.
Yeah, one of them, she said she started doing what he told her to do, and she's already got like 10 times the engagement that she's ever had on LinkedIn, just from like a 15-minute session with him.
Somebody knows what they're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, it is funny, full of gold. Okay, so if you want to carry on working on 120 positions a year to get the same amount of money as 6.5 would, then just carry on.
Or fool you.
But more fool you. Yeah. Okay, good. Well, let us know, and I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that's another episode of Retrain Search, the podcast in the bag. Thanks for listening to our wild tales, LinkedIn controversies, and our top tips on how to sell and deliver retained search. Get involved in our next episode. Send in your questions and share your experiences with us by emailing podcast@retrainedsearch.com. And don't be shy. Connect with us on LinkedIn and come and say hi. We don't bite. Unless you're a Shrek firm, that is. We want to say a special thank you to our retrained members for sharing what's working for them right now and innovating new ways to grow and evolve. It's an incredible community. If you're wondering what exactly we mean when we mention our communities, well, we have 2 separate programs. Our Search Foundations program is for recruiters who want to learn how to sell and deliver retained search solutions consistently. And we have our Search Mastery program. That's for business leaders or owners already at 50% retained or more and looking to scale and grow and structure their search firm. We cap memberships to these programs to protect the integrity of the community. If you want access, just talk to us. Okay, thanks for listening. We'll be back very soon with another episode of Retrain Search, the podcast.